did you see what Tucker Carlson got fucking fired for?
The Dominion claims and the texts and that stuff, right? Or was there something else in particular?
The text that they actually found right before they fired him. He was talking to one of his producers, and he was basically talking about a video clip that he had seen of 3 Trump supporters beating the shit out of an Antifa dude, right? And he was saying how when he saw the video, he liked it so much, and in his head, he was thinking, like, I want to see them brutalize this guy, and how he didn't like the fact that he was feeling that way, right? The he had sort of had this bloodlust when he was watching this Antifa kid get beat up. And that's not the offensive part. The offensive line that he said in the context of talking about that was, he said, white men don't fight like this. That was his thing. What
were the colors of everybody involved?
I'm pretty sure that everybody involved was white. But that was the thing that was deemed too far gone for Fox, is that he said white men don't fight like this, which it does kind of clue you into a bit of his worldview, which is that, I don't know, I think that the suspicion about Tucker Carlson, because he talks a lot about the Great Replacement, essentially, without necessarily naming it that, and he talks a lot about, just things that make you feel like, is this guy like reading white supremacist websites and papers and stuff? Because a lot of the stuff he says kind of sort of seems to like mirror some of that shit. And even I was reading this New York Times article about Tucker Carlson, and they said that like leaders of the Daily Stormer, these like big white power organizations, basically look at Tucker Carlson as someone who's kind of like smuggling their ideology into the mainstream. But when you read that one line, it sort of makes you realize, like, oh, okay, Tucker Carlson does believe that there is something inherently superior about white people, or even just an expectation that white people should handle themselves a certain way. And I think that connection was probably just a little too much for Fox to take, which is kind of fascinating that was what pushed it over. It was a secret remark that they thought might come out in discovery in the course of that trial. And I mean, essentially they paid $800 million, I think it was, $1 billion, so that they wouldn't have to have that hard conversation.
Yeah, for people who don't know that, Tucker Carlson and basically Fox News, multiple hosts, made claims about the voting systems and how they might have been subject to rigging during the 2020 election, and that might explain Joe Biden's victory. I don't know the exact details, but basically the company that makes the voting machines sued the network and won to the tune of $800 million. And Tucker Carlson was one of the most responsible guys for pushing those claims that he didn't, it seems, believe himself.
And when you look at his commentary behind the scenes, it's like he was promoting Trump as if he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. But then when you actually look at what he was saying behind the scenes, he was saying this man is a destroyer, or this, basically saying that he thought he was going to be bad for the Republican Party in the long term.
Dude, every time I read the LA Times, I'm just like, okay, this headline is propaganda. Like, they're being dishonest too.
Right.
But because being on the right and being like the most popular television host on the right, people are just going to have, there's gonna be multiple fucking bullseyes on you at all times.
Yeah, definitely. But that's a big part of Tucker Carlson's message, is basically like, they, meaning the liberals and the media, they think that you're racist and you're not.
Yeah.
So you should fight like hell against them because you are not a racist.
Which is undermined by his text.
Yeah, and the fact that like so many of the things that he says kind of seem to like mirror white power talking points. But I don't know. I would like to read like a real honest defense of Tucker Carlson as well.
I would like to also I want to see a compilation of everything he's ever said that is a dog whistle to the Daily Stormer crowd, because a lot of what you hear about Tucker Carlson is filtered through left-wing sources saying he's doing those things. I have never consumed a piece of Tucker Carlson content where I've been like, oh, dude, that's too far. That actually is kind of racist. And never have myself.
I knew we were going to have this conversation today, so that's why last night I was like reading fucking New York Times articles under the covers while my girl slept peacefully right next to me, and I'm just sitting there like
Cock in one hand, New York Times in the other.
But I've had this done to me where I have had, left-wing media powerhouses basically come up with a bunch of bullshit to accuse me of being a racist, or at least being hospitable to racists. And from my perspective, in those articles, almost nothing that is being said is true.
Yes.
Whereas I'm kind of sitting here reading this New York Times article about Tucker Carlson, and I'm kind of giving the author a good deal of the benefit of the doubt. And I know that that's a mistake. I know that I need to be more skeptical about what I'm willing to believe. And I need to see the other side. The problem kind of being, though, is that, are you really trusting the right-wing media to offer a really fair defense of Tucker Carlson? I don't know who on the right I would really trust to be able to state that case for me.
Yeah, I think the best way to do it is just to consume both sources and then make your own opinion, because the left definitely has a tendency to jump logically. Like Ron DeSantis doesn't want third graders to be indoctrinated into any ideology. He's banning books, is what the left says. Oklahoma makes it so you can't give a 10-year-old puberty blockers, and they're targeting trans children. That's the headline that I just read in the LA Times today. So logically, they always like to fucking play checkers and hop. And that's what it seems to me like they have done to Tucker Carlson in some cases. I didn't see the text you're referring to. I would like to see it in its full context. Because I
can get you the full thing if you want, but
not here.
It is weird because it's the whole thing doesn't really read as racist, and then that one line reads as racist, and it just makes you wonder, okay, so what else do you say behind the scenes?
Yeah, it just, I was drinking with some of my buddies in San Francisco this weekend, and it was just 4 guys I've known for a long time, and we were saying some fucking off-color shit, dude, and it made me realize, so the stuff you can do on YouTube is pretty tame. Comedy clubs go off, dude. You can be really offensive in fucking comedy clubs, which is something I didn't know until I started doing stand-up recently. But 4 college buddies in a bar, dude, that is fucking offensive. And that's why I sort of give anybody the benefit of the doubt if they're saying something that is being picked up and just a couple of lines are being used in a news article. Because, dude, what if there was a security camera in the taco shop that we were fucking eating in while we were hammered this weekend?
Right. That's one thing that our current discourse doesn't really allow for, is the idea that people could be joking.
Yeah.
And that's why whenever anyone has ever tried to say anything about you, it's he's joking. It's a comedic video.
Yeah.
And for me, I have to give him a extremely long leash when it comes to anything that was said under the guise of trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Even if I don't really think it's funny in that moment, having that conversation of, oh, well, this is offensive and this is not okay. And I don't care if it was a joke. It's not funny. It's not okay to joke around about those things. I don't agree with any of that. I think if anything, we should joke around about as many things as possible. And it just feels like such an unfair thing when people are trying to jump all over comedians for not making the right jokes or joking around about the wrong kind of things.
Yeah. No, it sucks, dude. It sucks. Fucking limiting on, basically these days, if anybody says something really off color, it just makes you fucking laugh that much harder because it's so taboo.
This has been a clip from my new podcast, Sledge Lords with Danny Mullen. We're dropping a new episode every week, so either hit the link in the description or search up the Adam 22 channel on YouTube. Appreciate you guys.